3 franchise-altering maneuvers just went down in New Orleans over a span of 7 days, yet the entire football world remains completely oblivious to this massive overhaul. Rewind to the previous campaign's climax, from Week 12 to 18, and witness Tyler Shough's absolute offensive masterclass. Despite possessing depleted arsenals, battered rushers, and a fragmented receiving corps, he miraculously orchestrated drives, securing victories. Then shortly after the campaign concluded, Carolina Panthers trench warrior Robert Hunt boldly equated Tyler Shough's style directly with the great Josh Allen. Statements of such magnitude are never uttered recklessly. A fellow professional analyzed the film, concluding this prodigy is legit. Jumping ahead to the opening week of free agency, New Orleans secured an incredibly versatile rusher, boasting over 1,000 rushing yards across 3 of his last 4 campaigns. Management also successfully acquired a premier interior trench dominator available on the open market. The front office managed to retain a defensive anchor, heavily recognized as an elite positional pass rusher during the past year. Furthermore, a stealthy tight end acquisition provided Tyler Shough an unprecedented mismatch nightmare. Every maneuver executes a solitary grand scheme: dominate the ground game, shield your commander, and construct everything around your trusted leader. These decisions are utterly calculated, not random. The organization possesses an exceptionally clear identity. However, the truly captivating narrative of this entire offseason unfolded over on the defensive side. A pair of legendary stalwarts departed the squad, sending immense shockwaves throughout the loyal supporters. Hidden within current draft evaluations sits an emerging talent. Tyler Shough explicitly demanded management secure for their active roster. That specific revelation completely redefines pick number 8. Before hastily dismissing New Orleans, comprehend the massive foundation management is currently constructing. The blueprint initiates with an utterly ignored positional unit. Before diving deeper, smash those like and subscribe buttons for premium Saints and NFL coverage. We are targeting 500 thumbs up on this exact broadcast. To fully grasp New Orleans' immense dedication towards securing victories this upcoming autumn, temporarily divert your attention away from those flashy skill players. Gaze into the fierce trenches. David Edwards inked a 4-year, $61 million pact featuring exactly $45 million in fully guaranteed funds. That monumental pact materialized during the initial 60 minutes of free agency. New Orleans refused to hesitate whatsoever. Avoiding prolonged haggling, management aggressively snatched the highest-graded interior blocker available before rival organizations could even strike. The Bruiser dedicated his previous 3 campaigns to the Buffalo Bills, following a glorious Super Bowl 56 triumph alongside the Los Angeles Rams. 103 standard matchups, 76 starts, cementing a legacy as a fiercely reliable interior force across the league. During the welcoming media briefing, Kel Moore labeled him an absolute professional. That speaks volumes. Here lies the critical reason this transaction eclipses their other maneuvers. The franchise continuously cycled through temporary contracts, endlessly swapping left guards. They lacked foundational stability and a true interior pillar for years. When interior protection disintegrates, rushing attacks quickly perish, while your signal caller suffers brutal punishment. Tyler Shough absorbed unacceptable punishment previously due to collapsing interior pockets. That devastating trend ends instantly. The veteran is an elite pass shield who dominates ground assaults. Plus, management secured Dylan Redunds on a 2-year pact, injecting massive reinforcement into the trenches. We aren't witnessing a mere band-aid fix. This represents a comprehensive reconstruction of the blocking unit's entire core. Perfecting this central position triggers consequences extending far past simple blocking. It transforms their offensive DNA entirely. When road graders successfully displace massive defenders up front, explosive rushing avenues materialize, deceptive passing becomes lethal, and the commander gets precious seconds. This seamlessly introduces the singular athlete positioned to capitalize the most. Acquiring Travis Etienne extends beyond standard free agency business. He is a local prodigy returning to his roots, birthed in Jennings, cultivated locally, and currently donning the legendary colors via a massive 4-year, $52 million contract. During his initial media appearance, he deemed the decision incredibly obvious. However, his extraordinary ball-carrying wizardry is exactly what terrifies the remaining conference contenders. Throughout his sensational 2025 redemption tour representing Jacksonville, the Phenom accumulated 1,017 ground yards across 260 attempts, scoring 7 times while establishing a personal best 6 aerial strikes. That latter statistic ought to inflict absolute nightmares upon opposing strategists. He isn't a basic interior bruiser, but an explosive weapon capable of inflicting devastating damage on any given play. From a medical perspective, Their backfield was an absolute catastrophe last year. Alvin Kamara unfortunately delivered a personal worst 471 ground yards off 131 attempts, locating the end zone merely once across 11 appearances. Kendra Miller continuously struggled with availability, whereas the inexperienced Aldrich Estee found himself thrust into primary duties simply due to overwhelming roster casualties. Absolute unreliability plagued the unit, leaving Kel Moore without a dependable workhorse on a weekly basis. However, adding this dynamic superstar instantly incinerates that frustrating narrative. At just 27 years of age, he remains firmly entrenched within his physical peak, injecting a terrifying caliber of burst this roster has desperately missed for a very long time. Furthermore, the sheer complexity of this acquisition completely revolutionizes their strategic offensive methodology. You do not simply feed him the rock 20 times while praying for success. The man secured 102 receptions during his collegiate days at Clemson, proving himself as a lethal receiving threat, constantly dominating professional gridirons. This sheer agility forces brutal coverage disadvantages against slower linebackers. Combining such extreme versatility alongside a heavily fortified central trench completely unlocks the offensive playbook's fullest potential. However, generating massive point totals proves utterly worthless if the opposing defensive unit crumbles. Prepare yourselves, because management's recent defensive maneuvers are undeniably astonishing. Demario Davis utterly dominated the tackling statistics for 8 consecutive campaigns. 8, serving as an eternal captain bleeding their iconic colors. He recorded 143 takedowns last year despite being 37 years of age. He continued executing at a fiercely dominant caliber, remaining the absolute emotional core beating inside their sanctuary. Then, in a terrifying flash, he shockingly agreed to a massive 2-year, $22 million pact to join the New York Jets, completely vanished. Joining forces again with Commander Aaron Glenn, who battled beside him in the Bayou and hailed his elite alpha presence, is a devastating blow. Losing that sheer gravity alone would completely rattle any die-hard fan base to its absolute core. Then there is the heart-stopping reality surrounding Cam Jordan. 0 contracts, 0 promises, and absolutely 0 guarantees of a comeback. The Titan, who locked down the defensive trenches for 15 grueling campaigns, is now wandering into the terrifying wilderness of the open market, completely uncharted territory for the legend. To make matters worse, the squad watched helplessly as Alontae Taylor, an absolutely electric, rising star, locking down the perimeter, packed his bags and vanished into the night. We are talking about an astronomical exodus of gridiron wisdom, locker room alpha energy, and raw, undeniable talent bleeding out of the franchise headquarters in just a matter of hours. You simply cannot blame the absolute panic erupting from the local diehards. These warriors were never merely ink on a coach's whiteboard. These legendary gladiators literally forged the terrifying identity of Bayou football for almost 10 unforgettable seasons. Yet, we must face a brutally harsh reality. The executives are navigating absolute financial quicksand. This organization was drowning in catastrophic budgetary nightmares, a suffocating toxic aftermath lingering from the twilight of the Sean Payton dynasty. Declining warriors hoarding massive paychecks were actively destroying the crucial financial flexibility required to forge a brand new empire around Tyler Shough. The breaking point was inevitable. However, the narrative takes a thrilling turn right here. Tearing down the monumental statues of your franchise is pure agony, yet management refused to simply gut the roster and surrender. A brilliant, aggressive counterstrike was already in motion. Shockingly, the warrior they lured into the fold could be the ultimate missing puzzle piece to ignite this revamped defensive machine. Caden Ellis originally arrived as a massive underdog, scooped up in the 7th round back in 2019. For 4 grinding seasons, he absorbed greatness in the shadows of Demario Davis. Relegated to the grueling kickoff units until 2022, that was the explosive moment he seized his destiny, unleashing pure chaos with 7 quarterback takedowns across 11 glorious opening appearances. The monster then defected to the rival Atlanta Falcons, transforming into an absolutely terrifying, yet criminally ignored enforcer terrorizing the entire division. We are witnessing 64 devastating backfield disruptions over a frantic 2-campaign span, 15 beyond any rival second-level defender alive, per the advanced metric gurus, alongside 107 brutal collisions and 10 skull-crushing stops behind the scrimmage line. Add in 3.5 glorious sacks, a stolen pass, and a bone-jarring ball dislodgement in the previous year alone. Boom! He returns to the Bayou on a thrilling 3-year, $33 million pact, carrying a rock-solid $23 million in pure security. The cinematic timing is absolutely immaculate. The sheer genius of this acquisition goes far beyond raw statistics. It is about flawlessly unlocking the scheme. At 30 years of age, he brings a ferocious youth advantage, sitting 7 cycles fresher than the outgoing legend. He attacks the pocket with far more lethal intent, blankets receivers with breathtaking agility, and possesses an intimate, battle-tested understanding of the organization's heartbeat. This soil forged him. The absolute masters mentored him. Now, he spearheads Brandon Staley's diabolical defensive chess match, a high-octane scheme demanding shape-shifting enforcers capable of hunting the quarterback and blanketing passing lanes in the exact same breathless sequence. The man is the ultimate tactical weapon, fulfilling every single parameter. Simultaneously, the War Room launched a stealth strike, securing explosive tight end Noah Fant with a thrilling 2-year contract. Fant absolutely dominated the trenches last autumn, boasting an 82.3% victory metric while clearing paths, a savage trait that perfectly fuels the gritty, smash-mouth crusade this franchise is currently forging. Yet, despite these spectacular reinforcements across the battlefield, a terrifying void continues to haunt the locker room, the pass-catching arsenal. Shockingly, the ultimate savior to this looming crisis might already be glowing brightly on the War Room's priority list, explicitly demanded by the franchise field general. Chris Bell took the microphone at the Indianapolis Scouting Gauntlet and fearlessly exposed the truth to the world. Tyler Shough has been relentlessly pounding the table for this explosive weapon since the evaluation frenzy ignited. Forget cowardly whispers or middleman managers. The star signal caller grabbed his device, directly confronted the supreme decision makers, and forcefully declared his ultimate target. The duo shared a locker room back in 2024 with the Cardinals, where the receiver snatched 43 targets out of the sky for 737 electric yards and 4 spectacular scores, averaging a mind-bending 17.1 yards every single time he touched the leather. Even when deprived of his elite triggerman in 2025, the unstoppable force still dominated with 72 breathtaking grabs, racking up 917 yards and punching in 6 scores to cement his superstar all-conference legacy. Standing a majestic 6 feet 2 inches, carrying 220 pounds of pure muscle, and blazing through the 4.440, this beast possesses the superhuman dimensions and sheer violence to become an absolute premier secondary weapon on Sundays. The tragic twist, because there is constantly a brutal hurdle, revolves around the devastating knee explosion he endured battling the Mustangs in late November. That heartbreaking trauma plummeted his draft stock, violently ripping him from the opening night spotlight and burying him into the second-day bargain bin. However, the Brain Trust has already smuggled him inside the facility for an exclusive top 30 interrogation, allowing the science department to physically investigate that damaged joint with their own hands. The wizard who reconstructed his leg, Dan Cooper, the very same medical mastermind overseeing the Dallas Cowboys, dropped a massive bombshell, predicting the Gladiator could theoretically storm onto the grass for the late July summer gauntlet. Should the Bayou's medical authorities greenlight that aggressive recovery path, snatching this phenom at slot 42 during round 2 instantly morphs into the most jaw-dropping steal of the entire collegiate lottery. Just stare at the terrifyingly barren pass-catching arsenal left in his absence. Chris Olave is inevitably locking down a gargantuan mega deal as the undisputed alpha, while Devon Vele delivered a thrilling brief 4-game eruption after his dramatic rescue from the Denver Broncos. Past that fragile duo, the talent plunges off an absolute cliff. Ronnie Bell, Jalen Polk, Mason Tipton, Kevin Austin Jr. They are mere warm bodies to fill out a roster, miles away from being terrifying game breakers. This offense is screaming for a terrifying, lethal threat on the perimeter, and the architects possess the exact ammunition required to hunt one down without committing a catastrophic blunder at the precious number 8 slot. This sparks the most explosive, pulse-pounding mystery of the spring. Lurking in the prospect pool is an absolute phenom who bled black and gold from childhood, hopped on the microphone with Tyler Shough himself, and draws terrifying comparisons from talent evaluators as a literal, breathing manifestation of the defensive maestro stalking the gridiron. Caleb Downs, the Ohio State demigod, transcends the mere definition of a safety. He is the undisputed, universally feared, #1 overall secondary predator of the 2026 crop, boasting a terrifying versatility we have not witnessed in ages. 6 spectacular stolen passes, 16 brutal backfield executions, and an elite 85-plus analytics score across 3 consecutive, dominant collegiate campaigns. The great Daniel Jeremiah of the league's flagship network crowned him the 8th most lethal weapon on the entire board. The beast can prowl the deep abyss like a hawk, crash into the violent trenches, or suffocate receivers one-on-one in the chaotic slot position. Within Brandon Staley's complex web of chaos, deploying a warrior with that godlike radius is never a frivolous indulgence. It is a catastrophic, earth-shattering paradigm shift. Haters will scream that drafting a secondary enforcer at the number 8 spot violates archaic positional economics. Franchises violently avoid burning top 10 ammunition on guys occupying that space. Even the great Kyle Hamilton, widely hailed as an absolute freak of nature, inexplicably tumbled all the way down to selection 14. However, this current crop of gladiators shatters all the traditional rules. The absence of a guaranteed god-tier summit of superstars hands New Orleans a thrilling hall pass to simply snatch the most lethal, terrifying freak on their radar, tossing positional bias into the fire. Furthermore, with the devastating free agent escape of Alontae Taylor, the defensive backfield is bleeding from a massive wound that Downs would violently plug on day one. Peering past his legendary shadow, Texas Tech's David Bailey lurks as the ultimate apex predator off the edge, threatening to forge an absolute nightmare tandem alongside Chase Young that would terrorize opposing quarterbacks for years. Ruben Bain erupting from Miami, Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, or perhaps even Mekhi Lemon exploding on the perimeter stand is completely thrilling, totally justifiable targets at the precious 8th slot. The masterminds upstairs absolutely cannot paralyze themselves with doubt. It could be an excruciatingly brutal eternity before this empire commands a draft position this astronomically powerful ever again. Grab an elite phenom, inject a premier star, then allow upcoming selections to patch all remaining holes, since this squad surrounding them is vastly superior to what the masses assume. Exactly 1 week into the open market, and doubters still dismiss the Saints. Wake up, people. Behold this incredible defensive backfield. Kool-Aid McKinstry and Quincy Riley evolved into formidable boundary cornerbacks through their prior campaigns. Keep them strictly outside. Jonas Sanker alongside Justin Reed absolutely secure the deep zones. Should they draft Caleb DS or another fierce defender, this coverage unit instantly transforms into an impenetrable, layered bastion. With Chase Young opposite Carl Granderson, this trench unit packs a relentless edge assault no rival NFC South squad dares challenge. Factor in Danny Stutzman, transforming into a beast beside Caden Ellis at linebacker. That entire defensive machinery vibrates with raw speed, explosive youth, and boundless upside. Yet offensively, the breathtaking evolution gives Kellen Moore an incredible new arsenal now. Previously, he lacked any dynamic tailback capable of snatching passes from the backfield, or a bruising interior line built to stand up in battles. Now Noah Fant and Juwan Johnson deliver diverse, lethal threats every possession, fueling a second-year gunslinger who already draws fiery Josh Allen comparisons from frightened opponents across this league. New Orleans refused to blow their bankroll on a single diva. Instead, they aggressively eliminated every glaring flaw using brilliantly tactical upgrades. This crafts a lasting dynasty, not just a fleeting flash in the pan. The open market is still blazing hot. The rookie selection awaits. Elite superstars are still hovering on the open market, and massive front office shockers will ignite all summer long. Expect a radical lineup mutation by week 1, yet this unbreakable cornerstone is cemented. And if you keep doubting New Orleans before the fall, you remain totally oblivious to our terrifying new reality.